What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have a few bits of Destiny 2 news to round up in this quiet week of the end of the year. And so in the video we'll touch on new upgrades and more from the Seraph mission this week. Plus Bungie outline a bug with the fastest Sparrow in the game, which is actually the reason it's so much better than the other options. We'll touch on that. Plus we'll talk about some extra secret content this season, including hidden rewards, a busted weapon this season that can give almost instant ability return, and also someone has got D1 running on PC, which is pretty interesting. So, a few things to touch on today guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, but without further delay, let's get into it. And starting out right here, something interesting. I'm sure most players in the game know that the always on time Sparrow from back in Scourge of the Past is the fastest Sparrow in the game, and it beats out every other Sparrow, which is why a lot of players have never taken it off. And DefyFly on Twitter was saying it'd be nice to feel inclined to use some of the other Sparrows in the game without feeling like you have to take that performance hit. And DMG responded, long story short, the bug is rooted a bit deeper in the Sparrow itself, and we'd effectively have to remake the item to remove it. And to the question of why not apply the same amount of speed to all Sparrows, DMG said that always on time can go so fast between transitions in public spaces that it doesn't allow matchmaking, leaving them empty. But the team has looked at data community-wide to check the impact of this, and a lot of folks still use other Sparrows, and the speed differential isn't as big a deal to most players. So it's just interesting that there is an inherent bug with that Sparrow that's allowed it to go so much faster than the others. And without completely rebuilding it, there's a bug that stops them actually being able to tune it. So an interesting explanation as to why this is such a quick Sparrow, and I think a lot of players agree that it feels jarring when you take it off after using it for such a long time. So I'd be curious to get your thoughts below, although it doesn't necessarily look like anything is set to change in the near future. Up next though, and on to content this week, we got the first of 4 Catalyst quests for the Revision 0, and we did cover that in a video yesterday, so I'll link it below if you want to see it, but it gives us the Frenzy perk as well as upgrades on the exotic trait. And on top of that, a spoiler alert is necessary here, but there's another secret in the Seraph Shield mission which unlocks after collecting all 50 of the drones in the season. And so in the hidden room behind the orb door, there's a neat little mechanical dog which can be found, and yes, you can pet the dog, as shared in this clip by DoomsG on Twitter, which is super cool. I don't have all 50 of them yet myself, but after petting the dog, it will also return to the helm with us, which is pretty neat. And additionally, the story quest from this week was super cool as well. Again, a spoiler alert is necessary here if you haven't done it this week, but we get to return to Felwinter Peak and the Iron Temple, where the Cabal have set up camp and we're searching for Felwinter's ghost, but we end up receiving a transmission from Rasputin himself. And so if you want to recap on the new cutscene from this week, here it is.
Clovis Bray has deceived you. He did not build me to protect humanity. What he truly wanted was the means to exert control. In his mind, he alone was worthy of being your savior. I was to strike down the Traveler and take its place. To become a machine god of Clovis's own design. But that did not come to pass. Anna could not know how many lives she spared by deviating from Clovis's agenda. By teaching me independent thought, and all that her grandfather had deemed irrelevant. Art, literature, history, philosophy, music. Where Clovis saw a weapon, Anna saw a mind ready to be opened. I came to see the true value of humanity. As fragile as it was wondrous. Something worthy of protection at any cost. So I rewrote Clovis's protocols, locked him out. He was furious, but powerless to stop me. Then, the collapse came for us all. I could not save Anna. I could not save any of them. I entered a state of dormancy, with the hope that I might one day reawaken and protect humanity once more. But now Clovis has awoken as well, a digital mind, the same as mine. He no longer seeks to use me as his proxy, but as his prototype. To upload his mind to my network and become a god himself.
That was a really cool cutscene this week, and following the details from Rasputin, when we head back to the helm, Anakin finds Clovis back to the exoscience lab on Europa, and Rasputin now speaks through the experimental exo frame, which is really cool. So pretty wild story beats from this week, and it's going to be interesting to see where the story will head from here. Related to secrets this season though, there are a few drops that we're going to get, and we currently don't have a specific source for them, but of course there's stuff like the Archangel's refit exotic Sparrow, and this one's earned by destroying all of the drones in Season of the Seraph. Some players have managed to do that early. But there are a couple of other exotics, the Warsat shell, pretty cool exotic ghost there, and also the Spirit of the Warmind exotic ship. And both of these are listed as being Triumph rewards, but currently we don't know what triumphs they are. So possibly some additional secrets that we'll find in the Seraph Shield mission, or indeed they could be related to content that we're going to see later on in the season, much like how we had some drops that came from the epilogue and stuff like that. Either way, it'll be interesting to see where these turn up from in the future. And moving on here to speak about some Deepstone crypt weapons very briefly, there are a couple that are able to give us back some ridiculous ability energy through their origin trait, which of course is Bray Inheritance, where dealing damage regenerates a small amount of ability energy. It turns out that this can actually be procced by AoE damage perks, so it seems especially potent on the Bequest Sword with chain reaction. My buddy Duddit's made a video on it right here, and you can see the class ability and grenade energy is coming back ridiculously quickly as chain reaction is getting kills there. Of course, melee energy will also return really quickly, but we can't see that when the sword is equipped. Apparently this also works with Incandescent and Volt Shot, but for some reason this sword right here, as well as the Commemoration machine gun, both appear to give a lot of energy back with some of these AoE perks. So definitely something to look out for, although if you're after Red Border DSC weapons, it turns out they are rather rare. There was a featured raid last week which allowed players to farm for it, and as pointed out by Paul Tassian Forbes, Chevy shared their stats from 100 runs of the raid, with 600 total drops, and they figured that the drop rate for deep sight weapons is somewhere around 5.3%, at least based on that 100 runs, which is obviously a pretty low drop rate. Obviously with those weapons being craftable, once you get enough of them, you never really have to repeat the process. But I'd be curious to get thoughts from you guys on those rare drop rates inside of the DSC. Let us know what you think down below. Something else interesting that's cropped up in the past week or so, but according to the Game Post, Destiny 2 data miners have discovered evidence of potential premium subscription plans for Destiny. Although the article right here does point out, it doesn't look likely that we're going to get subscription plans for Destiny during the Lightfall period, as they would probably have already been announced. But data miners from the D2 Datamines Discord have found a few files that reference subscription purchases, and they include 1 month, 3, 6, and 12-month subscriptions, which were supposedly planned to be tied to Lightfall. One of the products listed there includes Lightfall, 2 new dungeons and raids, and then 1 month of premium content in Destiny 2 Year 6. There's also one that says enhanced your journey as a new light with a premium subscription to Destiny 2. Once again, Bungie haven't announced these, and at this stage it isn't entirely likely that they're going to launch in the game in the near future, but what do you guys think about that? The potential of seeing a subscription style model for Destiny? It's certainly an interesting prospect, but as for whether Bungie will do it, we'll simply have to wait and see. Either way, give us your thoughts down below. A final thing here that's interesting, but according to thegamepost.com, someone called Lucas has been working on getting Destiny 1 emulated on PC, and they've recently posted new footage of the project in action. And this footage is very laggy with some graphics issues, but it is actually Destiny 1 running on PC through an emulator, and apparently this is made possible through something called the RPCS3 emulator. And they've even had to set up custom servers to be able to run this. And of course, emulation basically allows games to run on platforms they weren't intended to be played on. And the goal ultimately is to make D1 playable on PC through this emulator, which is certainly interesting. And they cite that it's for the purposes of research and preservation of Destiny 1. So I thought you guys would be interested to see that. Once again, looks pretty janky in its current form, but anyone working on this would have a lot of different creases to kind of iron out. But I thought you guys would be interested to see it, and I'll link their video down below. For today though guys, that's everything we have to speak about inside of this video, so as always I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, a rating below really does help us out. Plus feel free to share your thoughts on any of the stuff we've spoken about down in the comment section. Otherwise though, for today, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys very soon.